to getting this referendum, but to winning this referendum. And it's not been the easiest journey. I've been called all the names under the sun, had as much abuse thrown at me as I can just about take, and I worried for some years whether I might become the patron saint of lost causes. But now we have our referendum, and I can't tell you, after the negative headlines that you've seen this week, you've been told that the people that want to leave the European Union are divided and split. Well, I tell you what, they might be divided and split in the corridors of Westminster, but under the banner of Grassroots Out, what you are seeing are people coming together, men and women from the left and the centre and the right of politics, coming together and saying, this is about putting country before party. This is about putting conscience before career. This is about doing whatever is possible to take back control and pride in who we are as a people. We want our country back. Now, it may not have been that good a week, perhaps, for the Prime Minister. I don't know. He received a letter in the week from Donald Tusk, the President of the European Council. And it's worth remembering that when our Prime Minister first announced that if he won the election, he'd give us a referendum, he was going to fundamentally renegotiate our relationship with Europe. There was going to be treaty change. There were going to be powers brought back to this country. He was going to reform the European Union. He was even going to tackle the absolutely crucial question of the free movement of people. And what he got was a letter from Donald Tusk that says if we're really good, they might let us limit migrant benefits for a maximum period of 4 years. And this, after his Phileas Fogg impression of going around 27 capitals in the course of the last 3 months, and if this is as good as it gets, it's not good enough, is it? It's not good enough. But he didn't seem to be embarrassed about it in the least. In fact, he said this deal was so good that if there was a referendum to join the European Union, he would now vote to join. And I thought perhaps we might just examine that. Imagine if the referendum, which we're probably going to get on June the 23rd, imagine if the question was, do you want to join the European Union? Imagine if that was the question. And here's the Prime Minister's speech. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we've done pretty well over the course of the last 1,000 years, running our own country, controlling our own borders, stopping people coming in and taking us over, but I've got a fantastic idea for you. We're going to join the European Union, and from this day onwards our Parliament will no longer be sovereign, and 75% of our laws will be made somewhere else. Would you vote for that in a referendum? No. But it gets better than that. It gets better than that. He would say that our Supreme Court, which should be the ultimate arbiter of any legal case in this country, simply isn't good enough, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to do is we're going to make the highest court of the land the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg, which is run by people who aren't even judges. Would you vote for that? No. Well, he'd also say that this concept that we should control our borders and decide who can come to Britain, this ridiculous, outdated idea that the National Health Service is just for the people of this country. No, he'd say, I've got a marvellous idea. Rather than the National Health Service being just for 65 million people, we're going to make it open to 508 million people. Would you vote for that? No. He might say, we have an antiquated industry called the fishing industry. I know it employs tens of thousands of people, but in a spirit of European solidarity, we've decided to give away our 200-mile exclusive limit in the North Sea, and we're going to share it with the rest of Europe, putting tens of thousands of men and women out of work. Would you vote for that? No. And to cap it all, we're going to pay a membership fee of £55 million a day to a club who haven't signed off their accounts for draft. Well, I mean, really. But you know what really gets me? What really gets me isn't just this either self-delusion or grand deception that we're about to see from the Prime Minister. What really gets me isn't just the Prime Minister, but it is, with some notable exceptions, almost our entire political class over the course of the last 40 years. What we hear all the time is that Britain isn't big enough to stand on our own 2 feet and govern ourselves, that Britain needs to be part of this bigger club to negotiate trade deals, that unless we were part of this political union, we couldn't buy and sell goods from each other. In fact, what our political class believe is they believe that Britain isn't good enough for us to run our own country. Well, I believe in Britain, and I believe we are good enough to run our own country. And we mustn't listen. We mustn't listen to the scare stories. Just look how many Mercedes motor cars are driving on the streets of Britain. Of course they'll trade with us. And we must deal and tackle this most crucial question that the Prime Minister's sham renegotiation does not deal. We must take back control of our borders, and we must put in place an Australian-style point system so that we can choose who comes to this country. We must control our borders. We must protect ourselves against ISIS and terrorism. We must make absolutely sure that the streets of Manchester, one day in the future, don't resemble the streets of Cologne with that disgusting spectacle we witnessed on New Year's Eve. And we must be proud and confident about who we are as a people, about the amazing sacrifice that our grandparents and great-grandparents made in 2 world wars so that we and the rest of Europe could be free, independent nations. And that is not just how I feel, that is how a majority of this country feel. And yet, our politicians have literally given away our birthright. They have given away our ability to govern ourselves. They have given away our nationhood. Our passports even say European Union on them. I want to trade with Europe. I want to be friendly with Europe. But I want us to take back control of our destiny. I want us to trade with the wider world. I want us to re-engage with our friends in the Commonwealth. I want my country back. I want my country back. Do you want your country back?